And I guess we should also talk about the other big tag match that happened over the weekend. It was the Survivor Series. They brought back the War Games. Before we got there, we saw your man AJ Styles pin Finn Balor in an excellent match that went 18 minutes and 25 seconds.
And did I predict that?
Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you.
Austin Theory, maybe a little bit of an upset. He is your new United States champion. He beat Seth Rollins
Yeah.
and Bobby Lashley in a triple threat for the U.S. title. This is, as Bruce would say, a fresh coat of paint for Austin Theory. I know last week you had predicted it would be Seth Rollins, but
Yeah.
man, they're really trying something with Austin Theory. Have you had a chance to see much of his work? What do you think of Mr. Theory?
I have. I think it's pretty good. Yeah. I think he has a ways to go. I don't think he's in the same league as Seth Rollins yet, but he's just,
Right.
hey, to be up there in that position, they're all good. You know what I mean? And he's young, and the only way you find out what's on with the guy is to give him the opportunity. So he's got it now, and we'll see. We're talking about him a year from now. That's kind of the way I look at it.
The rather controversial match on the show was Ronda Rousey and Shotzi. Ronda Rousey retains in 7 minutes and 15 seconds, but there was a little bit of a backlash in more recent days, and it all started with a campaign to fire Ronda Rousey. There is a podcaster out there, JD from New York, who believes that Ronda Rousey is cancer for the SmackDown division. Doesn't think she's a good wrestler. Doesn't think she adds anything to the WWE. I think she's a real big star, and I think anytime you can get a real big star like that, it's worth a look. And I happen to maybe disagree. I understand that maybe she's not as good of an in-ring performer as some of the folks who've been wrestling their whole lives, but boy, she brings a lot of attention, I think, to WWE. Where do you land on Ronda Rousey?
I think Ronda's fabulous. And who doesn't like her again?
Well, there's an online contingent who really don't enjoy her in-ring work, and so it was actually trending for a while. It was top 10, I think, on Monday to fire
Wow.
Ronda Rousey, and I didn't follow that line of thinking. I definitely think that she adds something to the overall presentation and an air of believability to the mainstream and whatnot. And it's anytime you get that level of a star on your program on a regular basis, it's got to be a net positive.
Oh, I have to agree. I like Ronda personally. I think, sometimes these people need to look at who she's wrestling against. You know what I mean? You're not going to get the same match out of Ronda every time.
Well,
The opponent's got to be able to carry their weight too.
well, and maybe some for her. I mean, you're maybe the world's best at that. I mean, back in the day, people would say that Ric Flair could have a 5-star match with a broom. And along the way, you made some really talented performers like Sting and Lex Luger, and not taking away anything away from those guys, but they were young in their career, and you sort of brought them along.
Mhm.
Ronda's had really good matches with folks like Charlotte, and maybe that's just where we need to be. She's got to be with somebody who's been around a lot longer than her, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes hand in hand. But getting back to your point, she brings a lot of notoriety.
Yes.
She's, arguably, and I actually pay a lot of attention to it now because I've become close friends with Juliana Pena. But she's the biggest box office female star that they've ever had at UFC.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Um, and I'm including the Nunez girl and they're trying to get a trilogy set up with her and um, Juliana, but she's kind of ducking Juliana right now. So I mean, Ronda was just the biggest star. I mean, I couldn't wait to watch her. Like, very similar to me, couldn't wait to see Brock. You know what I mean?
Totally agree.
Yeah. So I don't think she's ever going to stop being a star. She's an attraction. She's Ronda by Guy Rousey, and once again, these people online who are they?
Next up,
I
we had
I,
the.
I heard there a chant. We want Sasha during the
That's
match.
exactly right. Yeah, the Boston crowd was ready for Sasha, and she
Yeah.
posted something over the weekend that was showing some wrestling training, and she did hashtag WWE, hashtag AEW, and boy, it got everybody talking about, hey, what does that mean? What could this be? Dave Meltzer said the last he heard apparently was that there was a financial issue So maybe they're still negotiating. It would be hard for me to imagine, given the fact that Hunter is now running the company, that Sasha doesn't wind up back with WWE. Would you agree?
Absolutely. She wouldn't go there. She's been in Mexico wrestling too.
Yes.
I talked to her. I've talked to her a couple times.
And if you had to make a bet, you would bet on her winding back up in WWE?
Yeah. If she elects to do anything, if she's looking at outside options.
Well, and she's certainly done so well outside of wrestling. You take a
Yeah.
look at just what she did in the Star Wars universe, and
Mhm.
I mean, she could live on that on the convention circuit for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Between what she's accomplished in the ring and just in the
Yeah.
mainstream. So
Well, she's so young. I hope that she gets back into business. I mean, she has plenty of time, but and to me, I keep telling she's Ricky Steamboat and Ashley's me.
yeah,
That doesn't get any better when the two of them work. There's not a better female match ever, anywhere, anytime.
I totally agree. And if you're not necessarily
I don't have a problem saying this. They are the two premier female wrestlers that I've ever seen in my entire life.
I don't think you'll get much pushback on that.
No, I don't. I don't see. They're pushing back. They're talking to the wrong guy.
We saw Team Belair pick up a win at the Survivor Series War Games. It was Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka Mayhem, and Becky Lynch. They beat Team Bailey. And then the main event, what was last? And man, I don't know what I expected, but I was thoroughly entertained. They went nearly 39 minutes. The Bloodline would beat the Brawling Brutes, which was made up of Sheamus, Ridge Holland, Butch, Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all about a story for Sami Zayn.
Mm-hmm.
And Sami Zayn is a guy who I think maybe has had his best year ever. He certainly exceeded expectations at his WrestleMania match with Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass crew. Fun is probably the word to use there. But now what he's done with the Bloodline and then the storytelling on this one show, I just think, man, Sami Zayn stock is maybe higher than ever. But it does make you wonder, where do they go from here? It feels as if the eventual outcome here is going to be Sammy as a massive baby face, maybe when the bloodline turns on him. How do you see that playing out for Sammy? And what do you think of the performance?
Well, at first I was very open about it. I didn't even like him being with the Bloodline.
Yeah.
I thought he diluted it. But I know, and sitting and talking with Booker T, it just everybody looked at it differently. I was with Booker T in New York at an autograph session, and Booker thinks the sun rises and falls on the guy. So,
Yeah.
I just for looking at Roman and what the Bloodline is and how they conduct themselves, I found him bringing way too much comedy to it. But apparently, it's worked. So that's
Yeah.
just me. Maybe that's me being old school. But when you got a serious character like the Usos, who are, I don't even think to argue with, they're the best tag team right now in business as heels. The
Right.
Usos that can really, when they're healthy, can really work. And Roman is over like nobody else. And I didn't like it because I thought the kid's he's comical. His character is comical.
Right.
Yeah. If he gets heat with me, you can imagine how many of it gets heat with the Marks.
Well, there is a rumor out there that perhaps through the course of that match on Saturday in Boston, the main event of the Survivor Series, during that Bloodline War Games match, Kevin Owens perhaps accidentally burst the eardrum of Roman Reigns, and there was some hurt feelings coming out of that. Now,
Oh,
that's all
really?
just been whispers online. I haven't spoken to anyone to know for sure that that's what's happened, but things like that, is that, especially with the eardrum, do you remember there being circumstances? We've heard stories about Steve Corino and Homicide, and perhaps Greg the Hammer Valentine and Roddy Piper. Do you
Hell,
remember any?
I've had mine broken. Michael Hayes broke mine.
Okay, tell us about that.
You get up and go. Christ, it ain't no big deal unless it causes equilibrium problems, which I don't think my equilibrium problems all those years later came from Michael Hayes breaking mine in Miami. I can remember when he did it.
Right.
But times were different, and we didn't take any time off. We went right to work. As a matter of fact, I had to wrestle Michael an hour that night. So I'm sure he remembers it. He broke first thing, the first cut into the match.
Wow.
You know, not by, not intentionally, but I'm sure knowing Kevin and thinking what a great guy he is, I'm sure Kevin didn't smack Roman intentionally trying to break his eardrum.
Oh no, I can't imagine that.
No.